Hey guys, Sak here from sakitech, and in today's video we are going to be talking about the Samsung Galaxy A35 5G. This is Samsung's latest budget smartphone. It starts at only $400 and it does have some really great capabilities such as a massive battery life, a good camera, and a very nice display and speaker. So let's dive in and see what this phone is all about. Now this is not going to be a replacement for the S24 series, but not everybody wants to spend over $1,000 for a phone. So in this video, let's see if it is worth getting a $400 phone to meet your daily needs. Now first, quick unboxing. You can see in the box you get the USB Type-C cable and you get the phone, which is typical with these smartphones nowadays. And of course you get your little SIM card tool. But that's basically all there is to it with the unboxing. Let's quickly talk about the build and design of the smartphone. The build quality and the design. All right, so let's talk about the front. Now on the front, we do have some really good news. This display is made out of Gorilla Glass Victus Plus, which is actually a flagship quality glass. Now when you look at the rear, we also have a glass build on the rear. You can see it is going to be reflective, but this is not going to be Gorilla Glass Victus Plus. We don't know exactly what kind of glass they used. Probably a slightly older version of Gorilla Glass, but where it does matter, we do have that latest Gorilla Glass Victus Plus. Now on the sides, you can see we do have a really nice matte finish. Now this is going to be plastic, but by no means does this feel like cheap plastic. It actually feels very nice in the hand. You can see we have a little notch here before the power button, and then we have the volume rocker, and then we have another notch. So that's a new design element with these smartphones. I do believe it looks very nice. At the bottom, we have the USB Type-C port, as you can see. We have a speaker grill right here. We have the microphone holes, and we also have another speaker on the top. So this phone does have stereo speakers, which is another great thing for a budget smartphone. Now, if I look at the top, we have the SIM card tray, another microphone, nothing on this side, nice, flat and matte. And of course, on the rear, we have that triple camera system. Now, I'm going to give you guys some samples with the cameras in a little bit, but basically what we have here is we have an ultra-wide 8 megapixel camera, which is this one right here. And then we have a 50 megapixel wide angle, which is the main camera, which is a pretty good camera actually. And then over here, what we have is we have a 5 megapixel macro camera. So in this phone, we do not have a telephoto lens, but you still have the digital zoom capability. And of course, we have the flash right here. And then on the front, we have a 12 megapixel selfie camera. But anyway, let's move on and talk about the display of this phone and its multimedia capabilities. All right, so the display on this thing actually is gorgeous. Let's go to the settings and look at the specs. So if I go over here and if I scroll down, first and foremost, good news, we have a 120 Hertz display refresh rate. And of course, you can go from adaptive to standard 60 if that's what you like. Now, the screen resolution on this guy is going to be 1080 by 2340. It is a 6.6-inch display. It is a Super AMOLED display. So you will get really nice dark colors and of course, really nice and bright whites. It is able to go up to 1000 nits of brightness. So under daytime conditions, when I went out there, it looks really nice. It is easy to see under bright daytime conditions. Even though it is not over 2000 like the Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra, even 1000 can get the job done as far as daytime visibility is concerned. Now beyond that, watching movies, playing games, videos on this thing is going to be an absolute pleasure. There's no question about that. This is an OLED display. It is Samsung technology, it is sharp, and it is bright. Now, the other thing that you might be interested in is, if I go down over here, you can see we also have the always-on display capability, but we don't have the full screen always-on display, the one we get on the S24 series, that is still exclusive to the S24 series. But you can see I can enable this, and if I were to tap the screen shut, you can see it's going to pop right up, and that's going to be the always-on display, which is also going to be customizable with Good Lock module. Additionally, quickly, we do have an in-display fingerprint sensor on a budget smartphone. So no more fingerprints on the power button. Now we have an in-display optical fingerprint sensor. Let's see how that works. So it works very nice. So it's not as snappy as an ultrasonic fingerprint sensor or some of the higher end optical sensors, but it gets the job done. As you can see, I tap on it, it logs me right in, no problem. And I can also log in right from the always on display, as you can see. So that is a welcome addition. And then you can see that we do have nice even bezels, slightly thicker than what you find on the latest flagships, but these will do. Again, we're talking about $400. Now, as a multimedia device, there's another good news here. When I go to my settings, go to sounds and vibration, look at what we have at the bottom. Sound quality, we have Dolby Atmos for gaming and also various types of media. So I'm going to enable this. I'm going to have you guys listen to a sample with the stereo speakers. It does have 2 speakers. Here's the microphone. I'm going to pull this down. Let's see. Okay, so to me that sounds pretty amazing for a budget $400 smartphone. Hard to replicate the quality over the video, but it is really, really good. Alright, so when it comes to performance, the phone is pretty snappy and responsive. Now, it's not going to feel as snappy as the flagship phone, obviously, but for a budget phone, it's doing very well. So I'm not really feeling much lag here. As I launch applications, they're quick. Okay, so let's see. Nice, as you can see. So they do launch very nice and quickly. There's no question about that. Every now and then there might be an occasional stutter, but it's only maybe 5% of the time. Alright, so when it comes to playing graphically demanding games, it is capable of handling such games, as you can see. Now, some games you're not going to be able to play at the highest quality settings, but most games should be no problem. You can see this is a very graphically demanding game. Let me just do this. Alright, and you can see it is playing very nicely. Okay, there is no lag, there is no stutter. We do not have any problems here. But like I said, again, it's not a flagship processor, so if you play some of the latest games at the highest graphical settings, it may not work as well. But this game here is playing perfectly fine. As you can see, the graphics are nice, and there really is no lag, as you can see. Alright, perfect. Beautiful. Now, if I go to my settings and if I go down to my device care, you can see that you can have this thing with 6 gigabytes of RAM or 8 gigabytes of RAM. And also, again, based on your location, you can get a 120 gigabyte model or up to 256 gigabyte model. Now, if you think that space is low, we do have micro SD expansion capability. So you can add up to 1 terabytes of storage if you want additional storage. But maximum, you can get 8 gigabytes of RAM and 256 gigabytes of storage. That's going to be region dependent. Now, if you get the 6 gigabyte RAM model, you do have the ability to use virtual RAM to expand it. So you have the RAM Plus option. You can add additional up to 6 gigabytes of RAM using the actual storage of the phone. So you have that option, just so you know. Now, one more thing. Let's talk about the battery. The battery on this thing is massive. It is a 5,000 milliamp hour battery. That's the same as an S24 Ultra. So you are definitely going to get a full day of solid use on this phone, and it's going to be left over for the next day. If you're looking for a budget phone with a strong battery life, this is an option to consider. It's also going to offer fast 25-watt charging if you purchase a 25-watt charging brick. So they'll get you from 0 to 100 in about 1 hour, 10 minutes, sometimes 1 hour and 15 minutes. And of course, again, because it's a budget smartphone, we're not going to get wireless charging. But we do have IP67 water resistance capability, so you do get some protection from water just in case. Alright, so let's take a look at the camera. I'm going to start off with some video samples. This phone does take some really good video if that's going to be your primary focus. Take a look at these samples. Alright, so you can see some sample photos. This camera does do a decent job of taking photos in daytime. Let's also look at some ultra wide and wide comparisons. You can see them right here. So you can do ultra wide and wide. Now this camera does not have telephoto. You can see at 10x, it really destroys the details. So this is not going to be a telephoto camera if that's what you're looking for. Primarily, it is a regular camera with wide and ultra wide angles. There's also that 5 megapixel macro camera that does an okay job of getting some detail, but really nothing to brag about. And also with the video recording capabilities, you can have up to 4K with 30 FPS, but you cannot do 60 FPS at 4K, and you do not have the 8K option. So the nighttime photos are okay. I would say that they're in the C+, B- territory. There is some detail, but when it comes to light, there's some struggle. You can see some of the light sources are blown out. And also in true low light conditions, there's also a struggle for focus. And here's a sample of a video footage, and you can see there's some struggle in this low light scene. So like I said, it's going to be in the C+, B- territory overall when it comes to nighttime conditions. In daytime, it's more like B+. Now, one more thing that's really good is with this phone, you are promised 4 years of major OS upgrades, and you do get 5 years of security upgrades. So that's a pretty long time for a budget phone, and it is more than other manufacturers out there. Alright, so let's talk about some of the software features. Now, this one is running One UI 6.1 with Android 14. However, I will let you know, it's not going to have AI features that you find on the S24 series. And again, you can see right over here, under Advanced Features on the S24, we have the Advanced Intelligence features. These are the brand new popular AI features. Of course, the A35 is not going to have them. Again, remember, there's a compromise here. This is $400. This is $1,200. So you're not going to get everything on this one that you have on this one. That's impossible. Now, if I go back here, a couple more things you might want to know is if we go to connected devices right here, you can see we also do not have Samsung DeX on this thing, okay? We do have link to Windows, we have multi-control, we have call and text on other devices. You can see they're right here, but we don't have the Samsung DeX functionality. Again, if that is not something you're going to be using, you don't need it. And again, we have a compromised price point. Alright guys, so let's do a conclusion here in the form of pros and cons. So pros. We do have a low $400 entry point to Samsung ecosystem, so that means it's going to work great with Samsung Buds and watches. It's going to be a seamless integration. We have a great bright display and superb speakers for a good multimedia experience. We do have Gorilla Glass Victus Plus on the front, which is very tough. Now we do have a massive battery and a long battery life. Enough processing power for all daily tasks, including gaming. We have IP67 water resistance. The main camera is very good, the 50 megapixel main camera. And then you are promised 4 major OS upgrades and 5 years of security updates. All this for $400. Now let's talk about the cons, and cons are mostly due to the low price. Because it is cheap, you're not going to get everything, so you don't have wireless charging, you don't have AI features, you do get low quality zoom on the camera, so it's not going to be a zoom camera, and nighttime photography is not that impressive. But that's basically all there is to it. I do believe for the price point, it is a good phone to have for people that don't want to spend over $1,000 on a flagship, or even $600 or $700 for other mid-range options. This is one of the cheapest options, and it's very good, very well packaged. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Drop them down below. Let me know. For now, guys, have a fantastic day.